There's something about the ability to just participate in that process gives you a little warm fuzzy, doesn't it?
I think so, pretty much so, yeah.
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 So tell us your impressions of what went on. This has been an unusual, I suppose, a year for these things. We have an unlikely candidate at the Republican nomination, and now this week the Democrats certainly don't have a run-of-the-mill kind of situation either. This has been an interesting year.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting year when both national candidates aren't doing that well in the popularity polls.
Right. Yeah. What kind of vibes did you feel there about all this?
Well, there was awful lot of speakers, different folks, national pundits, former office holders, current office holders, and then of course the Trump family. They all made an appearance and speeches in support of their father. Lots of activity. The Michigan delegation had a good representation there. We also had speakers that talked to us at our breakfast at the hotel. We stayed about 25 miles out of town in Cuyahoga Falls.
Wow.
Bussed in every day. But we had actually John Kasich came and talked to our breakfast. Orrin Hatch, Mike Rogers, Chris Christie. So we were, I guess, very fortunate to have some of the face-to-face closeness with some of these folks, and then of course everybody that for the 4 nights during the convention, that national speakers, and it was a great time. I had an opportunity to get on the floor of the convention for a while. That's always fun. Lots of activity down there. Lots of media. Lots of personalities you see on television right down there, up front and close.
So you said John Kasich came and spoke to you. He's among some who've elected not to endorse the nominee and stayed away for the most part, but he did come and talk to you. Did he talk about this sort of line he's walking here?
Not really.
Okay.
I pretty much stayed away from it. Just talked about his experience in Michigan during the primary and different places he visited and folks that were helpful to him. Pretty much stayed away from the whole Trump convention issue.
Okay.
But yeah, there are the lack of presence of some of the individuals was duly noted.
Yeah, right. There's quite a list of, I suppose, Republican royalty that have decided not to come, and there was something made of that, I suppose. But we'll talk more about that when we come back in just a minute on WBCK with Representative Dave Maturen. 8:30. Representative Dave Maturen is here. We were just talking about Dr. Bison, who was here on Friday, and so I was about to say John Maturen. Anyway, Dave is here, and we appreciate that too. So the vibe at the convention among some was vibrant, others maybe not. It's just sort of an interesting tone that's been taken on here.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of folks aren't overly enthusiastic about our nominee for one reason or another. Could have been maybe the somewhat personal, nasty tone of the primary, and some folks I think just kind of carry that with them. Obviously, Ted Cruz did when he spoke for about 20 minutes about liberty and all sorts of good things, and then at the end of his speech, when it was apparent he wasn't even going to mention the word Trump, he started getting booed, and then pretty soon people weren't. It almost sounded like Cruz, but it wasn't. It was boo.
Yeah.
He got booed off the stage. I think the first time anybody's ever done that at a national convention. But I don't know if the Trump people actually saw his speech ahead of time or not. You would think they would vet things like that. And
there was a report that indicated that he had seen the speech ahead of time and allowed it to go on. And I don't know how much power you really have as the presumptive nominee at that point. Can you stop something like that?
Well, I think the party itself, Reince Priebus is kind of running the show there. He should have had obviously control over what people were going to say. It's obviously scripted to make to be very, very positive for the nominee and the party and the platform, everything else.
Pep rally of sorts.
Yeah, it is. It's a big pep rally, lots of enthusiasm. I mean, the people are there to obviously active in politics. They're not just normal folks that are kind of standing by the wayside waiting for the last week to see what's going on. So you get folks that are enthusiastic about it and want want the party to win, want the Republicans to win in the fall, just as I'm sure the Democrats are going to be this week.
Well, and right, that is an interesting thing. When Dr. Bison was here on Friday, I said, some are falling in line behind the nominee wholeheartedly. Others are a little trepidatious. Some others are not happy, and so you heard from them too. Where does Dave Maturen fall in all
Well, I
that?
think you're looking at the practicality of it all, and it was kind of explained. Look, if you're not a wild Donald Trump fan, look at the alternative, and the alternative is Hillary Clinton, along with her vice presidential pick, Tim Kaine, and looking at it from the I hate to say the lesser of two evils, but that's sometimes the way you got to look at things in politics, and especially given the I guess the lack of just popular enthusiasm this year for both of the candidates. It's almost like, okay, the alternative is.
Right. Yeah, well, I think a lot of the voters are looking at it that way, probably. Just choose the one you think is the best choice out of the two, even though you wish you maybe had a third that you feel excited about. Well, the straight party ticket issue in Michigan, which has been certainly front and center news-wise, it was being eliminated, and a judge stopped that for the moment. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm not necessarily sure I agree with his rationale, but it is a federal judge, and he's got the ability to do that. We did have the elimination of straight party ticket, actually tie barred with no reason absentee, which I did favor, the tie barring of it.
Yep.
And when they broke it, I voted against the elimination of the straight party ticket. A lot of folks in my district like to vote straight party. They just want to walk in and vote. Hopefully, that little R. But anyway, a lot of folks wanted that, and it's kind of interesting because we were told that the majority of states don't have straight party ticket voting, and I guess that's fine. But also the majority of states, a fair number of them, have early voting, have no reason absentee voting, so the two kind of go hand in glove. I know the clerks aren't excited about what's going to happen if there's going to be an appeal and when the ruling's going to come out, because you just can't turn the whole election around on a dime, and you can't do the ballots on a dime, and you've got to get things out to military folks overseas. So I hope they're looking for just give us a stable answer one way or the other, so we know what to do, but don't be throwing a monkey wrench into the last minute. So, but lots of things have happened with bills recently, with being declared unconstitutional. I know the governor has just asked that the very small portion of the school aid budget, which is really a great boon for the folks in my district. They get twice the $60 amount, $120, but there's a small amount in there for you can call it parochial, whatever you want to call it, for non-public schools, for them to operate certain functions. It's $2.5 million out of 13-14 billion, which is a drop in the bucket. But even the governor's asked for a reading from the Supreme Court on that. Is it constitutional or not? So,
Representative Dave Maturen is here. Short break, and we're back for a few more minutes. Okay, Representative Dave Maturen back with us for a few more minutes. So the notion behind the elimination of the straight party ticket is it forces voters to learn more about their candidates and be prepared when they get to the booth to make those choices. And the other side of that is if you're on lunch or the babysitter's waiting or something and you've got to make a quick choice, this helps expedite that. So what are your sense of those two arguments?
I think there's probably some legitimacy to both of them. I think the push behind the no straight ticket voting was to force people to actually look at the names and make a decision, and perhaps do a little bit of homework ahead of time.
Right, and one would hope that's already been done. But
you would hope so. But I think even right now, a lot of people just aren't tuned into it, and a lot of folks don't get tuned into the election until a week or two ahead of time. So. Although we're going to be barraged with commercials.
They're coming. Yep, that's right. So the emergency, the active shooter bill is going to the governor.
He's going to sign it tomorrow. Representative Iden and myself are going to be in Lansing for the signing of the bill. I don't know if Senator Noss is going to be there or not, but don't quite keep in as much communication with him as I do with Representative Iden. But,
sure.
Yeah, so that's going to be a nice thing to happen, and hopefully the public will benefit from it.
Yeah, this is the bill that stemmed from the February 20th Kalamazoo area shootings, which continue to be front and center. A report today that Abby Koff is back in the hospital
Right, I see
again.
that.
And so this situation, the ripple effects of this situation are certainly being felt, and this was one of the responses to that, an opportunity to try and be clearer about how to handle procedures when these things happen.
Right, and the state police has 90 days from the time of enactment to put together the whole process, by which folks will be able to get notified, and obviously it's going to be targeted, to the area. You won't get a notification about something going on in Escanaba, but you will get something going on in probably Southwest Michigan. So.
Mm-hmm. And how will that work? It's going to work something like an Amber Alert, I suppose.
Exactly. You'll have I think there's already a button on your iPhone for that. You simply have to activate that and obviously opt into it.
Mm-hmm.
You won't get it unless you opt into it. So, but folks will at least be aware that there's something going on and maybe take a little extra precaution in their activities.
Some of us might not have realized that we have that capability. That is to say, this situation happened. Somebody said, boy, I wish we'd known about that. Lawmakers started trying to figure out what the language was. But, if I'd been a lawmaker, I might have had to say, can we do that? Are there influences on technology that are that direct? Apparently there are.
I think it's already there. It's just a matter of again, just developing a process by which it happens. And there's a lot of stuff out there that we could avail ourselves of. We don't know about it until something occurs. Then we start asking some questions. And say, oh, yeah, we could do that. Kind of like, it's easy to do that.
Yeah, so. Right. Well, it's nice to know some things are easy, right?
Not necessarily all that easy, but it does exist. We can avail ourselves of the technology.
Right. Well, at this time of the year, you're in the district probably more than you are when the session is going on. What have you been picking up from folks as you've been meeting with them?
Well, I think a lot of folks are they wanted their roads fixed, and we're fixing them.
Yeah, how about it?
Huh? Seeing lots of orange barrels, and I don't know, I had 2 detours today, just encountered that I wasn't aware of coming here. But I think we're making some progress. I think they're happy with that. So just a matter. I think everybody's appreciative of summertime and the warm weather and getting out. And not being attuned to a lot. I spent a couple days last weekend over at the Great Lakes Legislative Caucus in Milwaukee. Mm-hmm. Got appointed to the executive committee to represent the state of Michigan, and
nice.
Lots of issues going on with the Great Lakes, and a lot of those issues impact our local lakes and rivers, especially with invasive species. So.
Right, and we haven't heard a ton about Asian carp and things of that nature recently, but I presume that concern is still there.
It certainly is, and again, just any other invasive species that somehow wind their way from over in Eurasia to the Great Lakes and then upstream, and pretty soon we got them in our inland lakes. So, but there's lots of issues dealing a lot of. We heard about some stuff dealing with medications that are now appearing out in Lake Michigan, and the fish are ingesting medications that we as humans are taking, and looking at some of the issues there with fish, perhaps male fish developing egg sacs and things like this. So,
oh my goodness!
So there's a lot of stuff going on. They have a great freshwater institute at the University of Wisconsin Milwaukee branch, but I see Western's also doing some things with freshwater. So.
Presuming that somehow medications that we ingest or throw away are making their way all the way to the lakes in such prominent fashion that these strange things are happening.
Yep.
Boy, it would be interesting to spend a show talking about that. Maybe
well, I'm going to get some more information. Like I said, I just got appointed to represent Michigan on the executive committee, but we can talk about that at length. I can gather some more information.
That'd be great. Representative Dave Maturen, appreciate the check-in. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
8:20.